It's the coloured shirt which would be an immediate talking point, and for me it is simply one of the best shirts of all time. Hello and welcome back to Phil's Corner, episode 27 I think now of Phil's Corner. And once again we're doing another video which is just on the screen, so there's no corner again, but hopefully you guys will still enjoy it. And in today's episode we're going to be talking along similar lines to episode 26. We're going to be talking about a wish list, but not just my season wish list. This is my all-time wish list, the shirts which I've been looking out for since I started collecting. Some people might call these my holy grail shirts, but whatever you want to call them, this is my really kind of top tier list in my head. The shirts which I would love to add to my collection. And we've got a range of brands and teams and all sorts of stuff. So we'll talk about those in today's episode. I'm really looking forward to sharing these. And I wanted to start with this photo as well. This is a little teaser photo for my new show with Hummel, Behind the Chevrons. And guys, I had a great time in Denmark. It was so much fun. I'll be sharing more on my channel in the coming months, and of course I'll be talking about this show on Twitter as well, and you'll be able to see the show very soon. In just a few weeks' time the first episode will be going live. So this is just a bit of a behind the scenes shot of the set. You can see some of the elements here, some of the shirts in the background from one of the episodes. And yeah guys, get excited for it. I really cannot wait for this to go live. It's going to be really fun. The production quality was really high. You can see even just in this photo some of the tech there. You got the great camera there, and there was a full lighting ring and everything. They even had me in makeup, which was quite a funny experience. But that's Behind the Chevrons, guys, coming very soon. Get excited for that. And at this stage, I do also want to say thank you both to my supporters on Patreon. Their names are at the bottom of the screen. And you can support me on Patreon, guys, if you would like to. The details are in the description. There's a bunch of benefits, and you can find out more and see if that's something you'd like to be involved in. And of course to my long-term sponsors, Foot Fanatics. And actually on the subject of Foot Fanatics, I'm just going to show you a couple of testimonies, if you like, from people who have bought from there. We've got James Taylor here. Again, this is quite recent. He bought a few shirts from Foot Fanatics using my discount code, which is Phil's Corner. So great stuff there from James. A lovely Gremio retro shirt there. And indeed a more recent Botafogo shirt. And we've got Jimmy as well, who went for a Flamengo shirt and a Palmeiras and a Gremio, so you got a nice triple pickup there. And the great thing about Foot Fanatics, guys, you get really quick delivery, and the prices are really reasonable too, especially when you factor in the exchange rate. It turns out quite reasonable, even for brand new shirts. And you get shirts which you simply can't get anywhere else. So some of these shirts are not available in the UK from your classic sort of retailers, but Foot Fanatics has stuff. So guys, do check out Foot Fanatics. If you've watched any of my last 20 videos, I've talked about them, but honestly I'm going to keep talking about them because they've been a great supporter to me on this channel, and they have really good stock, and I really do vouch for them. So that's Foot Fanatics, my sponsors. And again, thank you to my supporters on Patreon. Now I did want to squeeze in a bit of a Q&A, a few answers to your comments from the last video, so I'm going to do that now. I've not prepared this. I'm just going to go through and pick a few as I scroll through. So apologies if I don't pick yours out. But guys, do leave comments, and I do like to answer them in some of these videos, as you'll know. So please, if you leave a comment, it also helps just with the video on YouTube. So thank you to those guys who have commented, and indeed if you've liked or watched a previous video. And I almost forgot to say, actually, do subscribe, because of course, being a subscriber on the channel, it helps grow this channel. And I think we're at, what are we at now? 2.74k subscribers, so really healthy number. Thank you to everyone who subscribed. It really means so much. I know my videos haven't been as regular, but I am going to be starting a new live stream to coincide with Phil's Corner. So there will not only be these kind of main episodes, but also some more regular streams, which will help fill the gaps in between Phil's Corner episodes. So hopefully that'll be coming very soon. But yeah, please do support the channel if you're able. It means so much. Let's go through some of these comments now. We'll start with George. Wow, with the SK brand blackout kit. Blew my mind. Wish I could get that, but I'm just starting out and I'm not fast enough or know enough about their special editions. So George, thank you for the comment. And indeed, that SK brand shirt is such a nice shirt. It's one of my favourites. If you are looking for special edition shirts, the best way is probably Twitter. And honestly, for me as a collector, being on Twitter, following the right accounts, is often the best way, because it's really hard to keep up to date with this information. There's not really one kind of website that I would recommend, but I would recommend Twitter. Being in the community, as I say, there's lots of people you can follow. I'd of course vouch for my own Twitter, but certainly I'm not the only person that you should follow. You should follow lots of other accounts. And once you're in the community and you're seeing these shirts, it is quite tricky because sometimes you have to make a kind of snap decision. Do I buy this? Do I not? And the other tricky thing, especially with special editions, is that often, like the SK brand shirt or something like the Japan box anniversary shirt, you might have to deal with shipping problems, and often these shirts don't ship directly to the UK if you're based in the UK. So this is where you need to be reaching out to people in the community, speaking to people who live in these countries who can help facilitate that. That takes time, but the best thing is to be involved in a community, be that on Instagram or Twitter or whatever platform there are people who are talking about shirts. The more people you know, the more chances you'll have when you need to find contacts and things like that. But yeah, that's the best thing to do, I would say, George. And if you've got any questions further to that, please do reach out on here or on Twitter. I'll be very happy to answer them. Let's find another comment now. Philip Fox, so far I picked up the new Ipswich Town kit. I haven't been collecting for long, but don't see music sponsors too often, so that was a must for me. I also got the away Louisville City Stripe kit and the Louisville City Blue Keeper kit. And he also made sure to grab another one. So, Philip, this is great because it's a really nice point to pick up with the Ipswich Town kit. Music sponsors are quite a novelty, and I like that. It's kind of a nice little sub-genre, a nice little niche. And indeed, I think there's something quite fun about once you start that, let's say you've picked up that shirt, why not look out for other ones? So, for example, in the last couple of years, St Albans have been sponsored by Enter Shikari, the band, and that is another nice shirt from Hummel as well, which you can pick up with another music sponsor. Famously, Newport County had a shirt in collaboration with Goldie Looking Chain, and this year's third shirt returns to that theme with another design, indirect collaboration with Goldie Looking Chain. So, Philip, a couple more shirts for you to look out for there if you want to grow your music sponsor collection. But yeah, thanks for sharing. Sunil says, Phil, you need this year's Liverpool away kit. It's funny you say that, Sunil. I'm actually really keen on the third kit, and I mentioned this in my last video. And seeing the release of it this week at the time of recording, I loved it. And lots of people made jokes about it being like a McDonald's kit or a Five Guys kit. And even McDonald's and Five Guys themselves tweeted about it, but I really like the third shirt. It's definitely on my list. I'd love to get it in a player issue version as well. Nice one, Sunil. Great to have a comment here from Northern Ireland Classic Shirt Company, and these guys will feature in this video very shortly. So shout out to them. One of the best sites, incidentally, for vintage shirts. And that's not a sponsor. That's not a prepared statement. But honestly, guys, this is a great place to go for shirts. Really good prices. Probably the best prices for vintage shirts at the moment. And yeah, really, really sound. He says, I don't particularly like the fit of the Nike shirts recently, but the Inter home and away and that beautiful Leipzig shirt are definitely worth investing in. And yep, I would agree with that. In terms of the Inter and Leipzig shirts, both peak Nike at the moment, both peak Nike in 2021, with distinctive designs that focus very much on the patterns of the shirt. So of course with the Inter, you've got a very, very notable snakeskin pattern. Great stuff. And thanks once again, Northern Ireland Classic Shirt Company. As I say, they will be getting a mention later on. Let's do a couple more here whilst we're here. Phil's temporary corner, yeah, Enrique, exactly, mate, exactly. This is this is what it is at the moment. Victor Burnout, and this is a great comment actually. So he said that the Denmark shirt, the Denmark third shirt, was on Unisport. And so actually, Victor, this is a bit of an exclusive to say, but I've actually been able to pick up the Denmark shirt, and it's on its way. The Denmark third shirt, which was in my last video, so it was on my wish list for this year, and I've been able to get it. Shout out to Andy, who sorted a group of us out on the Slack group with that shirt. So that shirt is on its way. We'll probably do a video on that very soon. And we'll finish one more here. Yellow shirt fanatic from Lucas Grande. Yeah, exactly, mate. I am very much into my yellow shirts at the moment. I don't really know why, but between a few of the ones that I mentioned on the last video, that is seemingly becoming a bit of a theme of my collection. But thank you again to everyone who commented. We'll do a few more comments, I think, on episode 28 from this video. So do leave a comment in this video, and we can talk about that a bit more. Before we go any further, I'm actually going to mention a shirt which I've just picked up this week, and I shared this on Twitter this week. This amazing Liverpool shirt, probably my favourite Liverpool shirt of all time. And it's about time I got a good Liverpool shirt in my collection. The Adidas equipment era, of course, famous era for Adidas. Every single one of the Adidas equipment shirts looked amazing in my eyes. This colour was so good as well. Apologies if it's a bit blurry, but you can see the fact that these three stripes are actually stitched on. They're a nice kind of chunky addition to the kit. Not necessarily the most comfortable material to wear. It's very 90s in terms of its material, but this was in great condition, and this was from Northern Ireland Classic Shirt Company, so thank you to those guys. Shout out to them. I was able to pick this up at a really reasonable price, and I'm really happy with this one. This shirt would have featured in this video, in the main part of today's video, but I picked it up before we filmed it, so the video is one shirt lighter, if you like. And yeah, I just wanted to show this one off because it's so nice. Look at that. Really am happy to pick that one up. But now let's dive into the main portion of today's video. And really, guys, it's going to be quite simple, a bit like the last video. I'm going to run through 10 shirts, and these are, if you like, my top 10 most wanted shirts. The shirts which I'll be looking out for years. And some of these shirts are from the 90s, and there'll be a few obvious additions, but there'll maybe be a few which are a bit more personal, ones that I like for different reasons. It could be the team, or just the collection, or something about it which stands out to me. These aren't necessarily, I think, the top 10 best shirts of all time, and I think actually a lot of these shirts, again, are more here for personal reasons, but these are ones that I'd love to own in my collection. And I'll talk about this through every shirt, why I like to own it, what I like about the shirt. We'll start with a really fun edition, and this is one I tweeted about. This is a New Zealand goalkeeper shirt from the 90s. Now, New Zealand are very important to me. My dad is from there. I actually have dual citizenship as well with New Zealand. Love the country, and the kit here is something else. It's a template, a design which was used by a few teams, but it is one of the most ridiculous goalkeeper shirts you will ever see. It's got everything, quite literally everything, from a constellation and a kind of painted style globe with a burning meteor football there. It's an incredible design. It's got all the hallmarks of a 90s goalkeeper shirt. But I particularly like this version because it is New Zealand. You've got the fern there and the Federation logo. Just looking at this again, the colours are hilarious. The fact that you've got the wording there as well as the coloured lines of the different colours. An incredible shirt. And there is a guy on Twitter who shared this, and I've been speaking to him, hoping to work out a deal, but it is quite tricky because when you've got a shirt like this, of course, these don't come up very often, and many people understandably want to hold on to them. But I'd love to own this shirt. It's certainly one of the highest ones on my wish list. And again, it's not necessarily just the template, but the fact it's a New Zealand one as well is important to me. I love to own this one. There's not many goalkeeper shirts which I'd really like to own, but this is probably the most wanted one for me, and I had to get this one in here. It's the kind of shirt which would be an immediate talking point for anyone. And for me, it is simply one of the best shirts of all time. The most ridiculous shirts of all time, certainly. So that's the first entry there. We'll follow it up with a bit of a noughties classic. And anyone who grew up watching football in the noughties will immediately know what I'm talking about here. Or, of course, if you watched in the 90s as well, you will know what this shirt is all about. This is an Inter Milan shirt. I believe this was the third shirt. It was a European shirt. It was certainly used in that kind of capacity. Famously worn by Adriano. And the design was reminiscent of the late 90s Inter away shirt, which Inter wore, which was worn by another famous Brazilian who played for Inter, Ronaldo. And of course, the colours are very evocative of that, but it is in the Total 90 template. And I've talked about Total 90 before. We did a video where I mentioned the Valencia shirt, which I really like. This, to me, is probably even better than that Valencia shirt. It's probably the best Total 90 shirt. It's certainly alongside the Valencia and Portugal one in my eyes, and I love this one, but it's quite hard to find. Many people have snapped this up, and the few that were in circulation were snapped up very quickly after the third shirt from last year. It's both the colourway and the design. So the colours, a really interesting combo of that kind of very steely grey blue with a darker shade, the gold Pirelli logo, the crest, the Nike swoosh, all popping out there. And of course the name set was a quick shot here of the Total 90 name set, which I love as well. So yeah, that's one on the list. There are a few of these knocking about. I've seen one or two, but it's hard to get them at a reasonable price, certainly. And it's one of those that will only be harder and harder to find, but I would love to pick this one up. Quite different to that Adidas 90s goalkeeper shirt, but I love this one so much. Next up we have a shirt from Boca Juniors, and this is I believe it's a 1992 away shirt, or one of the away shirts from the early 90s. I've talked a lot about Boca Juniors in the past, and they're actually going to feature a couple of times in this video. I love this away shirt. It's got a really crazy geometric design. And what I like about this is it has quite a kind of contemporary feel, quite a modern feel, but at the same time it's very Adidas. It's very 90s Adidas with the shapes there, majoring on the geometric elements. Love this kind of gold yellow band that cuts across, and the Fiat sponsor looks great. Incidentally, this shirt, this exact shirt I believe, was available at Northern Ireland Classic Shirts, but the eBay auction that it was on went a bit out of my price budget, but certainly looking at it again, I really do want to own this one. It's such a nice shirt in long sleeves there as well. You get the full effect of the pattern going down the sleeves. Many Boca Juniors shirts could be in this list. There's of course some of the great ones that Maradona wore when he was there. So there's lots that I could have chosen, but I picked this one out particularly. This is really for me the peak when it comes to Boca Juniors shirts, and it is relatively rare as well. Love this one. And yeah, as I say, I missed out on that auction. It's possible it will never be available again, and that's okay. Sometimes you just have to walk away, even though you really want a shirt. We all have a budget, or we should all have a budget. If you don't, then I envy you very much. But yeah, great shirt and a really, really nice design from Boca Juniors and Adidas. This shirt will not be a surprise to many. It's a very famous shirt for the wrong reasons, though. It's the Fiorentina shirt. I think this was also 1992, if I've got my dates straight. And this one, of course, was infamously pulled because someone pointed out that if you zoomed in on the pattern, you could see swastikas on the shirt. So a lot of people would not buy the shirt for that reason, and I completely understand that. For me, the fact that it has that story is one of the most unique and bizarre football shirt stories of all time. It's an instant conversation starter, and I really like that about shirts. I like that you can have shirts and you can talk about them with people and talk about some of these things, some of these little nuggets of stories, even though it is in very unfortunate circumstances. And there are quite a few of these around. I'd say this is probably one of the least rare shirts on this list that I've got here in today's video. But I love doing this one. I've got quite a few Fiorentina shirts, some of my favourite Fiorentina shirts, but this is one I'm missing, and I'd really like to own this one to add alongside the others. Next up is this AIK shirt, and of course this is one of their blackout shirts. But for me, it's this first one they did, the 2018 one, which is the one that I'd want to pick up. This was very limited in quantity, and not many of these were made available for sale. Unlike some of the more recent AIK shirts, which were in much higher quantities, and I know the most recent one, which I really liked, with the gold details, was apparently limited edition, but there was clearly more than they stated in circulation. A lot seemed to be given out to influencers and things like that. This shirt, the 2018 shirt, is really hard to find. It was the one that kind of kicked off the craze, if you like. It wasn't the first blackout shirt, but it was this one which kind of lit the touch paper that then led to things like the Dortmund blackout shirt, and indeed subsequent blackout shirts from all sorts of teams. Blackout shirts are absolutely everywhere, but this 2018 AIK shirt was the pinnacle for me. Everything about it, from the typeface there of the AIK name to the application of the details, the simplicity of the fact that it is very simple, but it's really, really nicely done, and you've got the fantastic AIK crest there as well. It's really hard to find this one. I've never seen this available for sale. I have seen some of the 2019 and 2020 special edition AIK shirts available at various places, but this 2018 one I've never seen, and that really speaks to its rarity. I'm sure one or two of you out there have them, and if you do, please DM me. I'd love to have a conversation, but that's the AIK shirt. I think because of the fact we've seen such a trend around blackout shirts, this only adds to this particular shirt's aura, this particular shirt's value. I think it really makes this one so much more important, because you can point to this one as being one of those first shirts that really kicked off a lot of what we're seeing in today's market. But there you go, that's the 2018 AIK shirt. I'm sure many of you expected at least one blackout shirt. I've talked about them before, but I'd love to have this one. Now next up is the Denmark shirt, but not the Denmark shirt many of you would have been expecting. This isn't the 1986 Denmark shirt, the famous shirt which they wore in Mexico 86. This is the 84 shirt, and to me, this is even better than the 86 shirt. This is my favourite Denmark shirt of all time. And you may recognise this a little bit because the most recent Denmark home shirt, the 2020-21 home shirt, was very reminiscent of this shirt. Perhaps the most obvious detail to mention is the blue piping here, which was of course replicated on the current Denmark shirt, but indeed the rest of the aesthetic as well was certainly an inspiration. I love this shirt. This is the match-worn shirt, I believe. Look at the huge numbers there. That Denmark typeface alone is so beautiful. I love how big it is. I love the style of it. Of course, they've got the chevrons running all the way down the sleeves and the side. And it's just such a nice shirt in my eyes. There are many good Denmark shirts. This one, the one before as well, was really nice. The 82 or 83 one it would have been. And of course, as I mentioned, the 86 one, you could also mention the 92 Denmark shirt. There's many good Danish national shirts, but this one to me is the best one of them all. Even if it was a replica, it wouldn't have to be a match worn. I just love to own this one. But of course, 80s Hummel shirts, they're like gold dust. They're only going to get more and more hard to find. If our new show, if Behind the Chevrons goes well, they're only going to get harder, hopefully. Hopefully the cult around Hummel will continue to grow. Certainly my favourite brand of all time. And this shirt is one of my favourite Hummel shirts of all time. Love this one with the long sleeves here. It's just got everything. That's the next one on this list. We've only got 4 shirts to go now with this top 10. And this is number 4. This is another shirt with a very personal connection to me because this is Southend United's 1990 home shirt. And Southend United is my local team, if you like. I was born near Southend. And I saw quite a few games growing up as well. And I still have a fondness for them. And this shirt from the brand Spau is fantastic. The style of this with the kind of brush strokes, the paint strokes, reminds me a lot of Australia's famous home shirt, which had a similar aesthetic. But I love this one. This to me is a great 90s shirt. It's got all the trimmings there. Like many 90s shirts, these are quite hard to come by. Many people as well, no matter where you're born, if you look back your hometown team, you'll probably find a shirt like this. Most teams have got at least one shirt, I would say, that's worth collecting. This to me is Southend's version of that. And I think it really has aged well as well. I think there's something quite nice about this shirt. If this shirt came out today, with a few tweaks, of course, to adapt it to 2021, I think this would go down really well. And yeah, really nice. Bit of a niche brand. It's got so many things going for it. That's number 4 on this list. Wrapping up the final 3 shirts on this list, and actually I should say at this point that these shirts aren't in a particular order. This isn't kind of a 10 to 1 in order or priority or things like that. These are just 10 in a random order, but we do have another Boca Juniors shirt, and this one is quite a funny one for me because it's one of those great noughties player issue shirts that are dual layered, and there's a shot here, you can see the inner layer. And I don't actually own any shirts like this, but I'd love to get one of these kind of dual layered kits. Nike, of course, did this over a few years, as well as some other brands. And this one, I think, is the 2003 away shirt. But I'd love to get either the home or away from this era. I also like the Pepsi sponsor, but just the construction. I'm fascinated by things like shirt construction and the materials and the way that particularly player issue shirts are put together. That's a growing interest of mine. It's something which I like to look at. I like to collect different shirts from different eras for this reason. So it's not necessarily just the design, but it's also the construction. The fact you've got these 2 layers. But I do love Boca Juniors, of course, and I really like this kind of combo. You mentioned yellow shirts at the start. Lucas called me out there, and it's absolutely true because I'm straight back in with another yellow shirt. This is so good, in long sleeves as well. I believe this is on Colt Kits at the moment. I've not quite got the resources to buy this one, but I am looking out for it very much. Maybe I will pull the trigger soon because it is so good. It's certainly one of my most wanted shirts. This or any other similar ones really high on my wish list, and I really like this one. Just looking again at this, it's so interesting to me to have this kind of the dual layer. I think that's a really fascinating thing. It's something which we haven't really seen replicated, so I guess it didn't go down that well at the time. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe the shirts of the future will return to this kind of idea. It's certainly very interesting to me, and that's just another shirt which I would love to own. As we begin to finish, this is the classic LA Galaxy 1997 home shirt. And I love this one for so many reasons. Galaxy's 90s colourways were so good. They were absolutely unbelievable. In many ways, they should return to these colours full time, I would say, because they look so good. But of course, you've got all the other MLS trimmings as well. The classic MLS logo. The fact that you've got the team name on the front, but not just the team name, but a very stylised name. And the fact that the LA here has got the kind of inline gold. I love that. It's such a simple thing. But it really adds to the story of the shirt. This is looks like a player issue shirt from Classic Football Shirts. You've got the number there and the sleeve sponsor. It's another angle here. Such a good shirt. Probably the best MLS shirt of all time, in my opinion. I do have a similar shirt from New York Metro Stars, which I absolutely love. and I got that for an absolutely unbelievable price. That was probably one of my best bargains. But this one, you will not find a bargain of anymore because they are really highly sought after. Even just the crest, we'll finish talking about the crest. Look at that. Such a great example of 90s MLS. I love that this font here is the same as the one on the sponsor. I believe it's the same. It's certainly very similar. And just the kind of style of the crest there is so good. So that's the LA Galaxy 1997 home shirt. But we'll finish with the St Pauli 2015 fourth shirt, I believe. I think it's the fourth shirt. But I love the simplicity of this one and the details of this one. And if we just look at a close-up here, look at the details here on the inside neck. And the colour here, this is really kind of luxurious, kind of off-white, almost slightly beige. I wouldn't say beige, it's kind of almost beige, but whatever colour it is, it looks great. And I love this one. Hummel and St Pauli was an incredible combination. And shout out to my man Jason Lee, who designed many of the shirts there, if not all the shirts. He certainly was one of the main men behind these great shirts. And I'm actually going to bring up Jason's own page here where he talks through or shows through some of the shirts that he designed. This was, I believe, the 2015 season, so the fourth shirt isn't listed on here. That was added later in the year, but you can see the home, away and third and the goalkeeper shirts. Many of these will be shirts you guys recognise. And what's great is here, Jason himself talks about some of the design process, some of the inspiration. It's great to see this. This is so good. This is like gold dust for someone like me who is interested in shirt design. So I would recommend digging out stuff like this, guys. And you may know Jason Lee from his brand Focahela. That's a brand which have done a lot of creative stuff, reworking a lot of shirts, and really kind of pushing the boundaries of shirt design with some really amazing custom shirts. But yeah, I mean, any of these shirts from this year, Hummel, were amazing. I particularly like the fourth shirt, but to be honest, looking again at these shirts, the goalkeeper shirts are outstanding. You've also got, I think the away is particularly nice, but you've also, the third and the home are good too. But I do want to mention this fourth shirt. It's a bit not the best quality photo I've picked out here, but I absolutely love this one. Again, the colours really make this one for me, and indeed the details. And I'm on for a simple shirt as well. I don't necessarily want my shirts to have crazy patterns. I think sometimes a shirt like this, on the basis of its colour and its details alone, can be enough to collect it. Even things like having this version of the Hummel logo, particularly like that. I love having the Hummel B there. But yeah, this one I've never seen on sale, but I would love to own. I think it was probably quite limited in stock, certainly back in the days of 2015, the ancient days of 2015-16. Shirt culture was a very different ball game. A lot of shirts were released in very small quantities, even though if it was released today, you'd probably see a much bigger release to capitalise on the interest around shirts. But yeah, love this one from Hummel and St Pauli. Really, really gorgeous shirt. And that rounds off the top 10. So we'll do a quick run through as well, just to recap. Firstly, we had the New Zealand goalkeeper shirt from the 90s. We then jumped to the noughties with Inter Milan's third shirt from the mid-noughties. Boca Juniors 92 away shirt then came next, followed by another 92 away shirt, this time for Fiorentina. We moved on to the AIK blackout shirt from 2018, the one that kind of kicked off the blackout craze in many ways, before jumping back to Denmark's 1984 Hummel shirt. Really, really good one there. Southend United's 1990 shirt was next, followed by Boca Juniors, again this time from 2003. LA Galaxy's 1997 home shirt was the penultimate one on the list, before rounding off with St Pauli and their 2015 fourth shirt. So guys, that is my top 10 most wanted shirts, the shirts which I would most like to own, which are on my kind of long-term radar. I did mention before, but if you own any of these shirts, please get in touch. I'd love to work out a deal with you. But I'd also like to know, what are the shirts you're looking out for? What are your holy grails? The shirts which you're really looking out for. They could be new shirts, old shirts, whatever they are. Let me know in the comments or let me know on Twitter and we can talk more about them. You never know, maybe I own one of the shirts you really want and we could do a bit of a swap or a deal or something like that. But I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Hope you got a bit of inspiration maybe about shirts you'd like to pick up. And as I say, I'd love to hear from you. Do leave a comment and do subscribe, guys, if you've got this far in the video. If you've watched this video and you're not a subscriber, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell as well, and that would mean so much to me. And finally, I do want to mention Behind the Chevrons. Coming very soon, guys, my new show with Hummel. I cannot wait to show you. It is going to be a step up in many ways on what I'm doing at the moment. I'm really proud of Phil's Corner, but Behind the Chevrons is going to look $1 million compared to everything I've done before. So look out for that in a few weeks. And that's something to be excited about. Again, I talked about Hummel in a couple of shirts in today's episode. And there'll be a lot more Hummel in Behind the Chevrons. So look out for that. And thanks again for watching. So that's it for episode 27. Take care, and I will see you very soon for episode 28.